When you think of great speakers, who do you think of? Like when I think of great speakers, like in world history, the first person that comes to my mind is Dr. Martin Luther King. He was so powerfully moving. I think of people like Margaret Thatcher, great speaker. Winston Churchill, great speaker. Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. These are people who are great. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about their ability to communicate a message that moves the masses. I'm talking about great speakers. Jim Rohn was a great speaker. Tony Robbins, great speaker. Like, y'all don't know who he is, but my good friend Kenny Grant, great speaker. Great speaker. So when I think of great speakers, and I hear people say that people are afraid of public speaking, it absolutely blows my mind to smithereens. I don't know that I do anything that's more fun than speaking to a group of people about something they care about. I can, except maybe hitting a golf ball 300, now that would be like 300 yards. Okay, but that's another conversation for a different day. Like, I don't even know that that would be as much fun. Because when you're speaking to a group of people about something they care about, you get to do that for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half, and you just get to stand up and share stuff, and you can see lights come on in people's eyes that weren't there when you got started. It's amazing. And I'm going to share with you 10 secrets to speak powerfully, persuasively, and profitably. How you can speak better than 99% of presenters. Because most people who speak, like, when I watch them, I think to myself, you know, if you cared a little bit more, you could do better. And by the way, that's not a judgment, that's just an observation. It's like, you're talking about something that's really, really interesting, but you are boring me to smithereens. What are we doing? Like, make the energy of your presentation match the content. Anyway, so I'm gonna tell you what I believe are the 10 most critical factors. I might even throw in a bonus 11th. Number one, most important, this is the most important part of any presentation, the ideation. The ideation of your presentation. Now, when I say ideation, what is that? Ideation. Ideation, what's that? Well, I'm going to show you. So, number one is ideation. Ideation is like the idea that causes you to create a conversation that you're going to have with a group of people, and the idea doesn't just come from you. I think one of the biggest problems that speakers have with ideation is they want to talk about what they want to talk about. Can I tell you that's almost always a mistake? I don't ever want to talk about what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what the people would benefit from hearing about. Sometimes that's what they'd like to hear about. Sometimes it's not. But what I do, I'm going to let you know a little secret. If I'm going to talk about something that people need to hear about, but they don't like to hear about it, I'm going to title it in such a way that they'll at least lean in at the beginning. Do you follow me? See, the most important aspect of your speech, your talk, if you're talking in public, or if you're doing a Facebook Live, or if you're doing an Instagram Live, or if you're talking on Zoom, or if you're going live on YouTube, or if you're recording a YouTube video, the most important part of your talk is the ideation. Why? Because if there's no big idea, see, my ideation attracts my audience. Why am I talking to you about how to speak better than 99% of people? Here's why. Because I know that people say that public speaking is people's greatest fear. They fear public speaking more than they fear dying. I can't imagine that. I mean, I can imagine fearing public speaking. I can't imagine fearing it more than you fear dying. I don't know. I'm a little confused. And I believe the fear is not as much about the speaking itself as it is about what you imagine the outcome of your speaking is. And the reality is, the reason you fear public speaking The number one reason, I've helped people cure their fear of public speaking while I was speaking and teaching people about speaking. The reason you fear public speaking is because you don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know. Maybe they'll like it, maybe they won't. Maybe they'll lean in, maybe they'll hate me, maybe they'll boo me. Maybe they'll throw tomatoes. They're not going to throw tomatoes. But they will sit there like this. Impress me if you think you can. They'll do that. And if that bothers you, more than the passion you have for transforming their lives with the idea that you came up with that could change everything for them, then you're flat out of luck. Are y'all tracking? And so, like, the reason I came up with this topic is not because I like talking about how to speak well. I'm not even what I would consider a great speaker. I'm okay. I'm good. I'm a good speaker. I wouldn't consider myself a great speaker. I can think of a lot of people. Now, I'm a really, 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 really good teacher. But I'm not a great speaker. According to my standard, I'm not a great speaker. I can think of people who are great speakers, who categorically, inarguably, indubitably, incontrovertibly. See, that's what I mean. I do goofy stuff like that while I'm talking. Why do I do that? I don't know, because I was like, whoa, what other word means without a doubt? I don't know. This one, this. And I start going off. And I can think of speakers, but I'm not. But you don't have to be the most eloquent orator of all times to be a good speaker. You don't have to be a Ronald Reagan or a Barack Obama or a Bill Clinton or a Margaret Thatcher. You can be you and still speak better than 99% of people. And so it attracts my audience, but it attracts them for the purpose of transforming them. I want to transform somebody's life, because the only reason somebody has to listen to you is so they will have the ability to do something after they get done listening to you that they didn't have the ability to do before they started listening to you. That's the whole reason you're having a conversation. Or they'll be able to think of something after listening to you that they couldn't think of before listening to you. Or they'll feel empowered in a way after listening to you that they didn't feel before listening. Is what I'm saying making sense? And so the first thing you need to do is figure out some big idea that matters to a large group of people. When you get ready to speak to a group of people, don't start in here, start out there. Let the people you're going to talk to provide the content, and you provide the context. What do I mean, the content? If I'm talking to you about things you care about, it's so crazy. I have a friend, I'm not going to mention his name, but he had an event, I think it was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This was many years ago. This is probably 2017. And he invited me to come speak at his event. And it was an event where he was selling a $4,000 offer. There were about 90 people there. Some of them were kids, so like 70 people who could buy. He gets up, he does his presentation, he makes his offer, nobody buys. Then he gets this other couple who built this multi-million-dollar brand for this invention that they created. He gets them to get up and speak and make an offer. Nobody buys. I went over to him and I said, Dana. Oh, I told you his name. Sorry. Sorry. Dana, I put you on Front Street, bro, but nobody knows your last name. I love you, man. Love you, man. Okay. I said, Dana, don't worry, bro. When I get done, we're going to have at least 20 sales. And so I got up. I talked for about an hour. I got done. I invited people to come take advantage of his offer, to come up to the stage to take advantage of his offer. 21 people said yes. And one of those people was his mother. And he elbowed the guy sitting next to him. He said, my own mom doesn't buy stuff from me, but she bought my stuff from him. Now, why did 21 people buy from me? Because I allowed them to provide the content and I provide the context. How did I let them provide the content and I didn't even talk to them? This is what I mean. Because I knew the name of the conference. And the conference was about this marketing methodology. I'm not going to tell you what the marketing methodology is, but it was about a particular marketing methodology. And I knew that if this many people paid money to come learn about this particular marketing methodology, if I can make my presentation in such a way that it made them feel like they would get the results of being able to do this new marketing strategy based on my vision for their future, my ability to tell stories about other people who have already helped achieve this marketing method in their lives, people that they already knew and liked and respected. So that's my story, my vision, and then I've got a track record. They're going to buy. And so that's what I did. And 21 people bought his offer from me. Now, I got paid a commission on that and all that. That's great. But the reason I tell you that story is not because I was a better speaker than him or the other speakers that spoke. But my idea for the presentation came from them, not me. Like, I've got 9 more. I actually have 10 more. But if you don't get that one right, the rest of them don't matter. When you get ready to create a YouTube video, if you don't get that one right, whatever else you get right doesn't matter. I like watching, I got my iPad right here. I like watching Mr. Beast talk about how he thinks about YouTube. And the fact that they spend so much time around the idea of the video, the idea of the thumbnail, the idea of the title, the idea of the images that go on the title. Like, ideation is one of the most important aspects of the creative process, but too many speakers skip it. So that's the first one. Okay, ideation. How to speak better than 99% of people. 10 secrets to speak powerfully, persuasively, and profitably. So, the second one, first one's ideation. The second one is interest. What do I mean, interest? I mean, your presentation has to be interesting. And as simple as that sounds, that is one of the most confusing sentences you will ever hear in your life. Now, if I'm saying your presentation has to be interesting, your presentation has to be interesting. That's 6 words. How could that be confusing? 6 words. I mean, which one's confusing? It's not any of the words that are confusing, it's the sentence that's confusing. And it's confusing because when I say your presentation has to be interesting, most people say, okay, I'm going to try to be more interesting. Wrong answer, but we do have some nice consolation prizes for you in the back. The way to be more interesting is not by attempting to be more interesting. There's only one way. How many ways? Talk to me, everybody. How many? There's one way to be more interesting. Become more interested. When you become more interested, you instantly become more interesting. Because only interested people are interesting. People who attempt to be interesting are boring. You ever go to a party and somebody wants to meet you and all they want to talk about is who they are and what they've done and where they've been and they're attempting to be interesting. And it's like, if I can get away from this person, I will never engage with them again. Right? The reason you're laughing is because you know it's true, right? And so you don't become interesting. Can I tell you, like in personal communication with other people, you know the way to be interesting? Ask a lot of questions. It's so simple. So where are you from? How many children do you have? Do you have any siblings? Like, most people, like, test yourself. Have a conversation with somebody without telling them, and just start having a conversation and see how many questions you can ask them in a row before you run out of questions. If it's less than 10, you're boring. If you can't ask somebody more than 10 questions, you are a boring person. You know why you're boring? Because you're not interested. Now, you've heard me say before, the way you can make YouTube videos that are interesting is by being interested, obsessing over other people's problems. But you don't even know what other people's problems are. You know why? Because you can't ask questions. You know why you don't ask questions? Because you don't care. So you're not interesting. As soon as you look at someone, that is a major problem in the world. It blows my mind. It blows my mind because there are real problems in the world. How many of y'all know there are real problems in the world? And I was watching a YouTube video this morning because I'm studying a YouTube video of a woman who's uploaded 36 videos, and she had 3.6 million subscribers from 36 videos. That is a person who's interested. Can I get a witness? And so I'm watching this video, and one of the things she said was, I started a channel before, and I started it with a trailer, and I said, I'm going to make this YouTube channel about having children, and tell me if y'all be interested in this. And she said, and it wasn't a YouTube channel, it was a TikTok. It was a TikTok video. Tell me if you'd be interested. And most of the comments were, I don't feel comfortable having kids because the world is getting worse. I thought, that's fascinating. Is the world getting worse? Or are we more focused on the bad things in the world than we are the good things in the world, while the world's actually getting better? Because the reality is the world is getting worse. But it's also getting better. In fact, the fact that it's getting worse is one of the things that makes it better. What does that mean? Where sin did abound, grace did much more abound. Every time something's missing, it's not just an obstacle, it's also an opportunity for people who are interested. So if, like, you're looking at the world, oh, I can't believe the world is this way, then go change it. Okay, I'm gonna not be so emphatic, I hope. Okay, so you have to be interested. So you become interested in a group of people, you become interested in their problem, and then you become interested in finding ways to solve it, so you do a deep dive. So the next time you have a conversation with one of those people or a bunch of those people, you can, without even this being your intention, they discover that you know more about their problem than they do, so they automatically believe you have a solution. This is how you become a better speaker. Like, people say, well, Myron, how do you speak? Like, we just did a 2-day seminar. I just did a 2-day seminar. I probably spoke for a total of, what did you say, Juwan, 6 hours, 7 hours, somewhere in there over that 2 days? I didn't have any notes. I don't need notes for my life. What does that mean? That means, you've heard me say a prepared messenger is better than a prepared message. A prepared messenger is one who has become the message. If it's stuff I do every day, like, do I need notes to tell you, like, how I groom my beard? I just do it every day. Like, stuff I do is just stuff I do. And stuff you do is stuff you do. But take an inventory. How much of your time every day are you using to obsess over solving a big problem for the world? Maybe that's why nobody's paying attention to you. Because, see, most people who create YouTube videos, most people who speak, they're doing it to solve their own problem. Well, if I speak, so-and-so's going to... I get paid a lot of money to speak. My speaking fee is $250,000. To talk for how long? Hour, 90 minutes, somewhere in there. That's crazy. Right. It's crazy. So you'll probably never pay me that, and I'm okay with that. And guess what else I'm okay with? I'm okay with not speaking if nobody pays me that. I got plenty of stuff to do. And so what happens is the more value you bring into the world, the more value the world imparts back to you. Become a person of value. How do I do it? Be more interesting. Okay, got to keep it moving. That's number 2, interest. Number 3, an invitation. You have to give people an invitation. I got to get rid of this jacket because I'm hotter than blue blazes. Okay, you have to give people an invitation into your conversation. But in order for you to give people an invitation into your conversation, your presentation needs to be a conversation, not a monologue. A dialogue, not a monologue. I love speaking at churches. I love it. Especially churches that talk back to you. There's nothing like it. People get excited and say, oh, I'm sorry. Don't apologize for that. You can't distract me, bruh. Participating. Let's go. Right? And so one of the mistakes people make when they're speaking is they talk at people instead of with people. Does that make sense? Yes? See what I just did? Does that make sense? Yes? And y'all said, yes, it does. So we're having a conversation. Even if you don't realize we're having a conversation, even the people on YouTube feel like I'm having a conversation with them because we feel vicariously like the people we are perceiving interact. That's why movies are so effective, because you can see yourself in the main character, or you can see yourself in one of the supporting characters. That's why movies are so effective, because people have natural empathy, and it's not even easy. It's natural for us to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, and so give people an invitation to participate in your presentation. And when you give them the invitation to participate in your presentation, something magical happens. Then they start doing stuff. See, if you have something you desire people to learn and you stand up and talk at them, maybe they will get it, maybe they won't. Some of them might get it. But if you can figure out a way to get them talking to themselves and giving themselves your presentation, they're way more likely to learn it than if you're just standing up doing a monologue. Like I see people writing down notes, and some people taking notes on their phone, some people taking notes on the pad of paper. See, that's because we're having a conversation. That's getting you involved in the presentation. Every time you write down a note, do you understand you are getting involved in the presentation? Like if I say something funny, which doesn't happen very often, I just say stuff I think is funny. So for me, I say a lot of funny stuff. But for other people, well, just live through it. Just endure. So when I say something funny and you laugh, I just invited you into the presentation. If I tell you a sad story, and you're about ready to burst into tears, I invited you into the conversation. I gave you an invitation to feel things, to do things, to say things. That'll make you a better speaker. See, here's the problem. When speakers speak, they think the signs of a good speaker is being impressive. That's not a sign of a good speaker. That might be the sign of a good performer, maybe. It's not the sign of a good speaker. The sign of a good speaker is not that you are impressive. The sign of a good speaker is that you are impactful. And impact is very different than impressing someone. See, when I impress you, you think I'm awesome. But when I impact you, you realize you're awesome. That's the difference. And why is it important for you to feel like you're awesome? Because you're going through something. And the thing you're going through right now might feel hopeless and helpless. But I might say one little sentence as a speaker. You might say one little sentence as a speaker. And that one little sentence gives you hope and gives you help. And now I've impacted you. So you can go do something about the thing that you thought was bigger than you. You can go slay that Goliath with one stone in a sling. Are y'all tracking? And so it'll make you a much better speaker. Like it literally doesn't matter. By the way, I'm gonna give y'all one of, like, our YouTube channel's doing decently. It's doing pretty well. I mean, we've got 1.2 million subscribers, up from 10,500 3.5 years ago. So that's relatively significant. One of the reasons that's the case is because I've given the people who are in the studio an invitation to come in here so that I have somebody to talk to. So I'm not talking to a camera. If I was talking to a camera, oh, boring. You know why it's boring? Because I'm bored. I'm talking to a camera. I'm looking in your eyes, and I'm seeing that you're getting this. Oh, I'm getting jacked out of my natural mind. Because I gave people an invitation to participate with me. And because y'all are here, like, all of you contribute to the energy of this YouTube channel so that people online can feel something, because I have the ability to talk to people who can feel something and not talk to a stupid camera that can't feel anything. The camera's not stupid. It's not smart either. It's just a camera. Okay, so an invitation. Now, once you get past the ideation and the interest and the invitation, now comes the content. There has to be some instruction. You have to teach people something they couldn't have learned without you or didn't know before you. There must be some instruction. In order for there to be instruction, you must have learned something. You have to have learned something in the past in order to teach something in the present that's going to impact somebody's life in a way that causes them to learn something they didn't know before. They listen to you. Does that make sense? And so most people don't spend enough time learning. So we were coming back yesterday on the jet, and I had a couple of my VIPs with me, and Clay asked me a question, and I answered him. He said, well, that's a really good answer, but that's not the question I was asking you. So I said, okay, ask me the question again. He asked me the question again, and I answered him. He said, that was a really good answer too, but that's not the question I was asking you. He said, I was asking you, like, when people ask you all these questions, do you have a framework for coming up with these answers? Because he's in my VIP and he sees people, like I do a Q&A in my Make More Offers Challenge, and he sees people asking me questions at a seminar or wherever, and then I give answers, and he's been here in studio before, and people ask questions, and he's like, what's your framework for doing that? Oh, I said, no, I don't have a framework for that. And I don't. I said, the reason I'm able to know, like recall all these answers that I've learned is because I'm a slow reader. It's my dyslexia. I don't know if you've ever read the book, The Gift of Dyslexia. It's amazing. And so in that book, the person talked about, and I was like, oh, that's why I can remember things. People say, Myron has a photographic memory. I definitely don't. But it's easy for me to remember things I care about because I'm a really, really slow reader, and reading is really, really hard for me. It's like work. It almost makes me sweat. At least it makes my brain sweat. And so I'm reading, and it's really, really laborious. And so if I learn something in a book and it's really, really good, I memorize it. So I don't have to go back and read it again. And so, I know it sounds like an oversimplification, but I'm like, that's the whole thing. I remember things that are important to me, so I don't have to go back and read them again. And I didn't even know that I was doing it consciously until somebody pointed it out, right? And so, you have to have something that you can teach people. That's the instruction. And then your talk needs some ingredients. So, I didn't write down instruction. Let me write instruction as number 3. Okay. Now, I'm going to change the color because you are getting bored with green. I don't know how I know you're getting bored with green. I just felt it. Okay. So then, 1, 2, 3. I just want to make sure I'm on the right number. Oh, invitation. That's right. Invitation. Man, that's okay. It's all right. Because, with a digital blackboard, you can do stuff you can't do with a regular blackboard. I can move that down. Oops. Ta-da! Yeah, that's what I said. Say it backwards for the people in the back row. Wow. Okay. So, 3 was invitation. Okay, so we got invitation, we got instruction was number 4, and now we're on ingredients. And I know. Okay, now we're on number 5. Number 5 is ingredients. Now, what do I mean, ingredients? Every talk needs to have certain ingredients. Hope I spelled that right. Ingredients. I did spell it right. Okay, so what are the ingredients every talk needs to have? Okay, here they are. You need to have some principles. They're like some laws that produce the result. You uncover some laws, some secrets that produce the results that the people that are listening to you are looking to learn. Okay? And then you need to have some, some parables, stories. And you need to have some pictures, either on a PowerPoint presentation or you can draw them on the board, right? You can draw them on a piece of paper or you can act them out. But you need to have pictures for the visual learners. You need to have principles because that gives people step-by-step instruction. And then you take the principles and you take the pictures and you wrap all of that stuff up in a story. And when you wrap it in a story, what happens is it makes it easier for people to digest. It's literally like, if all you're doing is teaching principles, first thing you do is this, second thing you do is this, the third thing you do, fourth thing you do is this. Fifth. Can you imagine if I was just standing up here just reading off this list, how boring that would be? And when you wrap it in a story, what happens is, it's like taking the difference between taking medication with water and taking medication without water. Right? Now, what did I do? That was a word picture that everybody could see. If you stand up and you just give people a bunch of principles and you just read off a bunch of lists or you read off a recipe, what happens is people choke on it. But man, if you wrap it in a story, it's like, oh, that's palatable. Why? And here's the cool thing about stories. Stories are easier for people to remember. By the way, I told you all the story about my friend whose event I spoke at. Remember that? How many people took advantage of his offer? 21. Why did you remember that? Because it was in a story. But if it was in a list, you wouldn't have remembered it. Do you see what I mean when I say wrap it in a story? It just makes everything it makes it easier to remember. It makes it easier for people to relate to people in a story. Because I don't know if you've ever spoken in front of a group of people and made an offer. I know what it feels like to make an offer and have nobody buy anything. I spoke to 400 people one time, if you can imagine that, and nobody bought anything. And then I realized I was in Missouri, the show me state. And guess what I did? I decided never to go back to Missouri and do a seminar again. It was easy. This is an easy fix. Just don't go to Missouri. They want you to show them, and then they don't believe anyway. Okay, so I could relate to how he felt when he was in that situation. And so you've got to have certain ingredients. Now, in addition to the ingredients, you have to have, this is one of the most, the number 6 is going to help you stop worrying about one of the biggest fears people have in public speaking. But what if I stand up there in front of all those people and I open my mouth and nothing comes out? What if I run out of something to say? What I'm about to show you is the secret to never running out of something to say. And it's one of the secrets, if you desire to get to the place in your life where you can do powerful, persuasive, and profitable presentations without notes, this will help you. You ready? You have to have inventories. What do I mean, inventories? Well, you need inventories of stories. You need inventories of principles. You need inventories of proof. These are some of the things you need inventories of. And so if you got inventories of stories, inventories, and if I wanted to alliterate that, I could have said inventories of parables, inventory of principles, inventories of proof. You need inventories of pictures that you I highly recommend that you guys pick up a book my son told me about a long time ago called Draw to Win. And it's a book that teaches you how to draw stick figures while you're doing a presentation. You say, is that where you learned it? No, I was doing it before, but it did help me get better at it. It is a great book. And what's amazing about that book is they solved a problem the world didn't even know the world didn't even know they had. What is that? People hate doing PowerPoint presentations. I hate creating them. I don't have to create a PowerPoint presentation before I come out here and speak. Would it be beneficial if I did? For some people, it would be. But for me, it wouldn't be. And you can use PowerPoint effectively. In fact, since I'm talking about that, and I'm on, okay, you need to have inventories of PowerPoints. Okay, so while you're doing, if you're going to use PowerPoint, here's how you use it. Here's how you keep from killing people with a PowerPoint presentation. Are you ready? Say I'm ready. Only have an image on every slide, a picture of something, picture, video, something. You want to have a visual image on every slide. And never, everybody say never, never have more than one sentence on a slide. If you're going to use PowerPoint, that's how you use it. And never make the image and the sentence come up at the same time. You make the image come up first. Then you teach about the image, and then you bring on the words. Because if you don't do that, they're going to stop listening to you and start reading the PowerPoint. By the way, that was worth the price of admission. Oh, that's right. There was no price for admission. It was worth the price of admission if there was a price for admission. Okay, so you want to have an inventory of all of these things. You want to have an inventory of quotes. I have probably, I don't know, I'm going to say, I have a Google Doc that has at least 300 quotes on it. I have one with quotes, and then I have one with my quotes. And see, you memorize other people's quotes. I do too. But I also memorize my own quotes. You need an inventory of poems. If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, and trust yourself when others doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop to build them up with worn out tools. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve their turn long after you are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on! If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. What's more, you'll be a man, my son. What's more, you'll be a man, my son. My wife quoted that poem to me when we were dating. And I said, oh, it's on now. What's the name of that? And so I put that in my inventory of poems. And y'all are like, oh my goodness, that's so good. I know, and it wasn't even, I didn't make it up. I didn't tell you I made it. Guess what? I didn't have to make it up in order for it to impact you. Because we could all feel those. If you can force your heart, nerve, and sinew to hold their turn long after they're gone, and so hold on. Like, we can all feel that. And then when you're quoting a poem, you don't just quote it. Feel it. Is what I'm saying making sense? All of these are, by the way, let me make sure I say this. Let me make sure I say this. You don't have to do all of these every time you speak. You take 3 of these things, and you have to have ideation every time you speak. You have to have invitation every time you speak. But you don't need to do all. You don't need to have stories and pictures and proof. You don't have to do all that. Doesn't hurt though. You need an inventory of frameworks. You need an inventory of lists. You need an inventory of recipes. You need an inventory of formulas. All of these things will make you a better speaker, because if you have them in your inventory, you don't have to, what was I supposed to say right here? Like, if you forget where you are, you just pull something out of the inventory basket and just use that. And nobody will ever know the difference. You know what I love about speaking? More than I love about singing. Singing obviously sounds better than speaking. But you know what depends on who's singing. But you know what I like about speaking better than I like about singing? If you're singing a song, everybody knows the words, so they know when you mess up. But if you're speaking, nobody knows what you're supposed to say. Sometimes you don't even know what you're supposed to say. So if you mess up, the only person that knows is you. What a great aspect of speaking. Like, I'm going to give you today 10 ingredients to speaking more powerfully, more persuasively, more profitably. Nobody knows what's on my list but me. And I don't even remember all the things that are on the list. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget any. So nobody knows if I mess up. I may have already messed up. You don't even know, and I'm not going to tell you. Do you see how cool this is? It's like there's nothing for me to be afraid of. One of the things that I'm going to recommend that you do that's not on my list is if you are speaking to a group of people and you make a mistake, just lean into the mistake. Because sometimes I trip over my tongue. Not literally. Can you imagine somebody walking having a... No. Right. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what is wrong with him? I don't know. But every time I say something, my brain thinks of something without me doing it. It just pops in my head. So, in fact, it's so crazy. When I was in Omaha, Cap Chatfield has a podcast, and he invited me to come speak on his podcast. So he's interviewing me, and he got ready to ask me a question. And he says, yeah, there was this documentary a handful of decades ago. And I just started imagining a handful of decades. And I was like, how big do your hands have to be to hold a decade? How many decades can fit in a hand? And all this stuff starts going in my head. And and I was really tired, and I get really loopy, and this stuff really happens to me when I'm tired. And then I attempted to push the thought away. Stop thinking this, stop thinking. And then I just broke out into hysterical laughter, and I couldn't stop. And I am laughing so hard, tears are coming out of my eyes, and I can't stop. I was out of control. I was like a little kid. But it was what it was. Now, hopefully they edit that out. Hopefully they edit that out. But if they don't, I'm cool with it. Here's the cool thing. I realized a long time ago that nobody expects you to be perfect. I don't expect any of you to be perfect. If you were perfect, that would shock me way more than if you weren't perfect. If I were perfect, that would shock you way more than if I wasn't perfect. This morning, when I was recording a video, I stumbled over my words. And we had to start the video over. And I said, I used to talk, now I just read about it. I just leaned into the fact that I messed up. Why would I cover it up? Do you know what the word sin means? The word sin means you shoot an arrow at a target, it falls to the ground before it hits the earth. It falls to the ground before it hits the target. See, I just messed up right there. Falls to the ground before it hits the earth. Falls to the earth, on the ground, to the dirt before it hits the earth. No, see, I just messed up, but it's okay. And I didn't do that on purpose. I just, sometimes when people are speaking, they'll have Noah, like, carrying the Ark of the Covenant across the Jordan River with all the animals on it. It's just like, right, because you start talking really, really fast and just stuff comes out because you have all these different, but it's okay. Just lean into it. That's what I'm saying. It's okay to make mistakes when you're speaking in public. Nobody expects you to be perfect. That's my point. Okay. So, when you become comfortable in your own skin, you can stop worrying about what you think other people think about you. By the way, that thing about inventories, it'll change your life if you'll do it. Okay, next one, impartations. Number 7. Impartation. What's an impartation? It's when you impart something to people. One of my favorite things to impart on people when I'm speaking to them is to impart on them my belief in them. Like when I'm talking to you, I know, you don't know yet you can become a great speaker. I know it. I know you can. I was an introvert. When I was 12 years old, my dad introduced me to one of his friends. He said, son, tell Mary your name. And I broke down and started crying like a little baby. I'm naturally an introvert, even though I operate as an extrovert in my arenas. I'm going to a mastermind tomorrow. I will sit in the back and mind my own business. If somebody wants to come talk to me, great. If they don't, great. I don't need any attention. It's not my room. I don't want any attention. If I go to a party, you have never seen a bigger wallflower at a party than me. I have no earthly idea what to do. No idea. You think I'm an extrovert. See me at a party if it's not my party. Even when I invite people to my house, like when we have Thanksgiving with all my family, I'm just going to chill and do my thing and help everybody else do their thing. I don't want to be the center of attention, ever. Just because that's who I am. So I know that if you're an introvert, you can become a great speaker. In fact, sometimes introverts can be better speakers than extroverts because introverts oftentimes spend more time thinking than they do talking. So when they talk, they have something to talk about. Sometimes extroverts spend so much time talking, they've already run out of words. They ran out of words 3 years ago and they're still talking. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert. I just think I'm funny. Pray for me or judge me. Either one is good. Okay, so impartations. One of the most valuable things that you can impart to people if you are a speaker is impart your belief in their ability to achieve the thing that you are talking to them about. So they can borrow your belief in them to build their own belief in them. Because I'm telling you, there are millions of people alive in the world today who haven't heard an encouraging word in years. Think about that. So, impartations. Where does the time go? Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to draw any attention to the fact that I'm almost out of time, and I still have 3. Oh, I just did draw attention to it. Okay, so, okay, number 8. I kind of talked about this already, but I'm going to talk about it in a different way. Illustrations. And I talked about having an inventory. I talked about having an inventory of pictures that you draw. But an illustration is more than just a picture. An illustration can be a video of something happening. An illustration can be a video testimonial. An illustration could be a person in the room who you've helped do the thing you're talking to the crowd about, and you bring that person up to give a testimonial. That's an illustration. Does that make sense? It could be a picture that you draw with a story that you tell. That could be an illustration. Sometimes I'm teaching about disruption following intention, and while I'm teaching it, I say, like if you start working out when you've been out of shape, and I get down and start doing push-ups, while I'm talking about disruption following intention, when you start working out and you haven't worked out in a long time, you don't feel stronger first, you feel weaker first. What am I doing? I'm illustrating my point. I'm not just saying it, I'm showing them what my point looks like. Does that make sense? Okay. And then number 9, you got to have this one. Number 9 is invocation. What is an invocation? It is where you challenge them to take advantage of the transformation that you've talked to them about. So, it's mind-blowing to me. Like, I can kind of remember our first television when I was a kid. It was black and white. There were no channels. We had a TV antenna that was made out of aluminum on top of the house. If we're watching NBC, CBS, or ABC, or PBS, any of those, my dad would have to go outside, go up on the roof, and turn the antenna. You remember that, don't you, Trudy? Right? Turn the antenna, right? And I can remember watching Walter Cronkite on black and white television. I can remember watching Neil Armstrong walk on the moon when I was in elementary school, like on black and white TV. And then right now, if you go on YouTube and if you watch a golf tournament from like 1980, you can't even see anything. You can't see anybody's face. You can't see the ball. How did we watch TV back then? And now, any 13-year-old with an iPhone or an Android can upload a video to the internet on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, and people can watch them in 4K. That's mind-blowing to me. I did an event in Omaha, Nebraska. I've never been to Omaha, Nebraska. Sent out some emails, mentioned it on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be going to Omaha, Nebraska. And guess what? 140 people showed up in Omaha, Nebraska. I didn't even know 140 people could fit in Omaha, Nebraska. Okay. So, I am going to be in California, Orange County, California, on November 7th and 8th, 2025, doing an event called Wealth Accelerator Live. And I've brought a team of Avengers who understand wealth creation and who understand content creation, who are going to be there with me. People like Garrett Gunderson, the author of What Would Billionaires Do? What Would Rockefellers Do? People like Adley Kinsman, the creator of Viralish. People like Graham Cochran. People like, well, they're not people like them, they're actually them. Why do I keep saying people like? But anyway, those are only some of the people I'm inviting. I'll be there. And I'll be speaking for at least 6 hours and teaching for at least 6 hours on wealth acceleration. Like, if you go to wealthacceleratorlive.com, I think it is. Anyway, we'll put a link in the description when the video's over. Wealthacceleratorlive.com. If you go there, if you want to come. And the only reason I don't like to promote stuff on my channel like that, but the reason I'm telling you that is because I don't want you to be living in California or somewhere near California and then find out after the event is over I'm going to be there. So, and probably next year we'll do some events around the country, unless, of course, we get this building that I'm going to go look at today, and then we'll be doing a lot of events in Tampa, Florida. So, okay. So, that was number 9, and number 10 is indoctrination. What's indoctrination? Indoctrination is teaching. Doctrine, the word doctrine means teaching. Indoctrination. Now, what do I mean indoctrination? Well, here's one of the things I learned a long time ago. For those of you who are speakers and you think you're going to stand up and you're going to talk for 20 minutes, or you're going to talk for an hour, or you talk for 3 hours, and you think you're going to change somebody's life, you are truly a legend in your own mind and nowhere else. Because here's one of the most valuable lessons I've learned about creating lasting transformation. If you're taking notes, this is a writer downer. You ready? You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar. The best I can do while I'm speaking to you on a YouTube video, while I'm speaking to you at a conference, the best I can do is inspire you to go home and study the thing that I got you started thinking about so that you can become better at that thing. And if I'm going to inspire you to go home and study, I might as well give you an opportunity to go home and study me teaching the thing I just inspired you to start learning. Does that make sense? And I'm not telling you that because I have something to offer you right now. I don't have anything to offer you right now. I'm telling you that so that when you stand up and speak, if you want to be a better speaker and you really want to create lasting change in somebody's life, create some method of indoctrination, whether it's a book, whether it's a course, whether it's a coaching program, or whether it's a mastermind. Create some form of indoctrination that they can go home and study after you're gone so that they can become a better version of themselves. And that's how you can speak better than 99% of people. 10 secrets to speaking powerfully, persuasively, and profitably. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.